Welcome to the Back to Me podcast, where we help multicultural incoming freshman women and men manage their entire college experience throughout post-graduation to successfully transition into entrepreneurship and corporate workspaces as new hires.
Back to me. Oh, I turned it around. I'm back to me. I finally figured it out. I'm back to me. So when you think you have nothing, back to me. I go back to me. Yeah, I'm back to me.
Hello, everyone. It's your host, Yogi Tamu. As part of our Ready, Set, Leap series, we welcome back feminine energy therapist and master energy healing yogi, Dr. Zerri Gross. In this week's episode, Dr. Z reveals how to identify and balance your feminine and masculine energies to boost both self-awareness and social awareness. Discover how masculine energy, driven by production, action, and survival, helps you get things done, while feminine energy, rooted in presence, alignment, and supportive connection, encourages you to just slow down, see the bigger picture, and grow sustainably. Learn why vulnerability is one of your greatest strengths and how embracing the be, do, have mindset can elevate your planning, productivity, and your personal development. Get ready to explore how to balance productivity with mindfulness so you can approach your academics, your relationships, and your goals from a place of true empowerment. Enjoy. I am thoroughly enjoying this year and this time, our 5th year, and we're inviting back some amazing people. And we have Dr. Zerri Gross. I love it. I love it. I love it. How are you, ma'am? Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you so much for the first initial invitation to even be a part of the Back to Me podcast. So coming back to celebrate your 5th year is pretty awesome.
Thank you. I can't believe it. 5 years has just flown, right?
They just keep going by like 5, 10, 15, like, oh, okay.
Okay, let's roll. Let's ride. I love it. So now how have you been and what have you been up to in these 5 years? What's been going on?
Well, let's get into it. I think probably around about when we first were meeting, like I'm constantly in transition and changing and evolving as it makes sense and suits me. But I'm pretty sure I transitioned out of being like a real life employee for a mental health agency that was serving a very underserved population in Los Angeles, doing intensive work, and went on ahead and migrated from there and went full time as a business owner. And most recently, I incorporated a job, but it's literally doing the same thing that I do in one of my 2 businesses. So where I'm at currently, I still have a private practice and I still have a wellness business. What I don't have is honestly probably the level of stress that I had from trying to be an amazing employee, an amazing business owner, and an amazing mom, and get kids out of high school and get a younger one into school. Like,
Wow.
Those things are easier. So I am sharing way more and coming back to myself.
Hey now.
Back to me, and I'm coming back to me. So I share yoga these days again, something I kind of stopped for a little while doing. And even at the time of us filming, like I'll be doing something over the weekend and be getting it back on the schedule so that people can access it. Because I think it's important for people to have options to try things they maybe haven't tried before, as well as exploring the intentionality of feminine energy and why this is a topic that needs to be talked about.
Yes, that's why I said, oh, we got to get you back on the podcast. We started having that private conversation about energy and feminine and masculine. I said, oh, we got to save that for the podcast. I'm so glad you're here. So, so much is going on in the world, and we just got to do our best to keep our students focused and optimistic. And, just to know that where there's a will, there's a way. We just got to stay centered. So for the students that are listening, they're the incoming college freshmen and they're dealing with anxiety and what the transition of that feels like, as well as the post-grad that's heading out into the workforce and, all the energy around them and around that. So we want to talk about what type of energy they're bringing. How can students harness their energy and be more productive this year? Let's start there.
Okay. So when we're speaking about energy in general, there's lots of different areas that we can go into when discussing it. We can look at realistically just the energies that are within our physical bodies. And to be more specific for today, to help incorporate a little bit more, I love to share a little about feminine and masculine energy and the necessity to create a harmony and a balance of when and how to use it and why it's even significant to notice what's happening. So, your folks are coming from a space where they have probably had people telling them what to do and when to do it and how to do it. And now they're like gravitating towards, well, what do I do on my own? And like, who's going to help me? And this is where, respectfully, they will start to notice how their energy is not giving what they were looking for and that they are actually they're like, I don't have enough energy for it. It's not happening. You do. However, if you look at masculine energy, this is probably more easier to identify because people tend to associate it with production and production producing it's obtainable things that are tangible. So masculine energy, you can see it in people moving, being, doing things all the time. Feminine energy, I would like to say, is more kind of the motivating force underneath it. Why do people do so much? Why are they working so hard? And where does that come from? Because you need that supportive type of energy to be able to go do. I think when we were discussing, and we'll probably get a little more into it later, being versus doing, and noticing each individual can benefit from getting to know themselves. If you have been motivated to produce heavy and like get the 4.0s, get the highest grades, do all the extracurricular stuff to get into the colleges that you're looking for in the first place, you've been heavy in your masculine energy. You are getting stuff done and you are getting it done at all costs possible. The reality of you asking someone for help or noticing maybe I actually should sleep and take a break are not very high. It's sometimes even frowned upon to consider taking in feminine energy. And what feminine energy actually does is it creates more of that harmony, that flow, the nurturing that people anticipate or expect from, say, maybe a mother role. It tends to be considered as soft and kinder and gentler. And that's where people kind of get it messed up because they don't realize how strong and how much strength it actually takes to slow down, to be more intentional about what you're doing, to ask for resources, and to allow others to support you by doing so. Feminine energy is when you have tapped into it and you're operating more in that space. It's where it's not as pressing to have everything right, perfect, and done, so much as making sure you don't miss the process and you're able to be present with it. You're able to notice how it's impacting you, how it feels, if it's in alignment with you, even. Like you may be pursuing a thing and your real passion is in a whole nother area, but you missed it because you're stuck in your masculine because that is the survival energy. If you just need to survive, head hardcore into what do I need to do? When do I need to do it by? Who do I need to get it to make it happen? And you are in your masculine. That is your survival energy. When you're existing, you're able to take more of a, how can I not do this all by myself? I don't have to do it all. I don't have to be alone. I don't have to figure it all out. There are resources and help, and it might not be the people you anticipated, which is, I feel like, part of why you created this podcast. So people have a space. Who can help me? Who may know something that I need to know? Where can I find these resources?
This is so good because, masculine energy, I think it's been phrased differently. They call it alpha energy. Sometimes like it could be in men, it could be in women. This is the alpha person in the relationship because they're the doer, they're the take charge person. And so for you to just kind of break it down and identify that it exists in both genders, all people, that we all have the capability to soften on up.
And the soften is not a soften because of weakness. And maybe that's another thing that has been associated with femininity and feminine energy. That you are being feminine. Actually, I can hear the insults that I've heard over a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
Real feminine. Like, first of all, let's redefine what that actually means. Because soft does not mean there isn't strength there. It takes a lot more to not be masculine and just go do. If you're in an argument with someone, for instance, The person that's willing to be not nice and mean and be aggressive, that's not hard to access those instincts. It takes a lot more and more intentionality to stop, slow down. So I equate femininity with being able to slow down to see the bigger picture, being able to notice in the end, what's going to actually allow me to be successful? Is it go hard in the paint, or is it maybe pace this out a little bit more? Maybe I ask my friend to help me. Maybe I say no to things. Maybe I am not taking on the old stereotypes of femininity, which are considered weak or less than or not great, but embracing how necessary it is to integrate both.
Mm-hmm.
And every person does need to integrate both male and female. And however you identify, you need them both working together to have harmony with yourself.
Mm. And I'm so glad you're saying that to be quote unquote soft there, it takes strength to do that, because I think vulnerability is wrapped up in that. And I think that's what's happening in the world today. People are not vulnerable and accountable. They're not tapping in to that so-called soft place. And it takes courage to do that. There is no weakness in that. So thank you for
And
saying
it actually is strength. Like you said, there's no weakness in it. But to be vulnerable with someone is probably the greatest strength you could ever do. To be willing to be vulnerable and allow someone else to interact with you, because you aren't guaranteed that they're going to receive it or even appreciate it. But allowing yourself to be open, to be seen, to be heard, to be felt is respectfully more feminine than how someone may believe that it is masculine in the energy that you're producing and putting out there.
And it takes great courage to do it. All right. So now let's tap into a few ways for our listeners that can tap into this powerful feminine energy, whether you're male or female listening. What are a few ways to tap into it?
Some of the ways you can do that, especially as you're navigating this transition from being potentially a child, being told what to do, when to do, and how to do it, and recognizing as an adult now, lucky little adult you do get to make all your decisions and choices. So I like to look at being versus doing. And there are lots of folks in the world that discuss like be, do, have. You want to have a nice life, a nice career, a successful college experience, a probably really good grade in all your classes. You want to get your degree so you can go out and do the great things that you actually went to school for. But in the process, the only part that ever gets talked about is what you have to do so you can have that. The do would be the masculine. What do I do? How do I show up and do the stuff so that I can have this degree, this experience? The part that gets missed is how much time gets poured into how you're being. If you are being, you are owning that your version and way of functioning may look different than other people's. And that is when you're tapping into your femininity. That's when you're noticing, I maybe learn a little bit differently, or I need more time, or I need less time, but I need to navigate how I'm doing life. So this can come into play when you're looking at your schedule, when you're looking at how much action can you tolerate in a 24-hour period? How much recovery time do you need before you can start over again? How much do you need to plan before you do all these activities so you do rejuvenate and recover in a way that's really going to work for you? This process, I would say, as you're looking at life, if you give yourself a chance to really look at what works for you, when you're being and tapping into your femininity, you will be able to notice that more easily. It's kind of like when you're in your flow or mojo, you know just the right amount of actions you need to take because you feel it, because you're being the version of the person that you want to be. If you're someone that wants to like max out all your classes and have all straight A's, there's moments where you feel it and you know it's happening. And it happened because you set your schedule up in a way that works for you. You looked on your schedule to see when you're taking transitional breaks and how often. You also figured out, who do I need to get help or assistance from? Do I need extra support with a tutor? Do I need to take extra classes? Do I maybe need to take a class less? Do I need to not take these classes in the same semester because they're too intense? But how do I set up my college experience, where I'm living at, who my roommates might be, and when and how do I need to study and what's going to help to also still have a little fun in life so it doesn't feel so daunting that you never feel like you're having a good experience.
Hmm. It sounds like you're nurturing yourself when you're asking yourself those questions.
It's exactly what you're doing. And that literally is embodying more of your own femininity, of giving yourself permission to say, what do I need in this moment? And how can I make that happen so I can put my masculine to work to actually support me more? But you have to soften enough to notice I need something and maybe I don't have access or I missed noticing when I did so I can be intentional to receive it again.
Great, great. Okay, so now planning is usually first, in the beginning of a school year. So
Yes.
there's a lot of masculine energy there because you just got to plan most of the time. And so, from what I'm hearing you say, just identify what works for you, what's going to take more time, and not to overwhelm yourself or beat yourself up if you can't meet a certain goal that you've already set for yourself. It's okay.
Yes. And I look at planning as actually embodying more of the femininity. The doing of the plans that you set is how you're acting in your masculine, and then giving yourself permission to reset and go back and assess, did that work for me? So on a 7-day period and maybe monthly, looking at for the courses I have, for the things that I had to sign up with when I first came into school, is it working for me? Did something change? Notice things like the season. The seasons are going to have an impact on how productive, since you're being masculine and doing that, you may be, just as well as how much you may need a little more care and time to yourself. You may need more breaks. You may need more rest. And you want to look at your planner, look at your calendar. What classes did you sign up for? How can you create that in your school week? Do you load all your classes up on one day and then you take 2 days to recover? Do you space them out throughout the week if you have these options? And when is the time where you're going to have fun and you're going to have rest and it's going to work for you?
Hmm. This is good. So everything we've been talking about so far is for self. So now how does that translate into relationship? How do they communicate with another person where you're conscious of your masculine communication style or your feminine communication style so that you can have a healthy conversation? What does that process look like?
When people become more aware of themselves and they're being more than they are like stuck in their doing, they're able to have more of an harmony of, okay, this is what I'd like to accomplish, a connection, a relationship with this person. When they're in their feminine, these are the ways that I like to be able to offer myself and do that with another person. That when you put those together, before you contact the other person or interact or engage, because it can be impromptu, get clear on what your intentions are. Like, I want to have a connection with this person. Like us contacting each other. I will call and say, hey, I would like to do X, Y, and Z and have this type of conversation. Do you have the space or capacity for that? And that gives the other person the opportunity to tap in, be present, and decide, I think I can do that in this moment. Let's do it. Now you just shared with someone else, and it happens in businesses all the time. People have agendas for their meetings. I like to say people should have qualifying conversations with other folks, but they start with themselves. If you know you're not in a space to talk to people, don't go and be around people and set yourself up to be mad or ugly or nasty, but also give people the chance to let you know, hey, I do or don't have the capacity for that, but thank you for asking me so I could even check in and find out for myself. So qualifying conversations for one, and then recognizing that someone else's need and their flow of how they move in and out of their masculine and femininity is different than yours. And that's okay. If they like to be in the doing because it probably allows them to not be in their feelings, it's not your responsibility to figure that out either. But take note and notice, okay, this is a person, if I want to go do, that's who I hang out with. Now you get to change your schedule or your life and being around people that are doing when you have that space and capacity for it. And folks that are more like, let's just chill out and I'll pour into you, you pour into me. And that may be, we can sit in silence or we can eat together or we can watch a show and like zone out and talk about it, but not be stuck in the doing of something else.
Mm-hmm. So good. Qualifying the conversation. I love it.
I'm like, if everyone took that, if you take nothing else in life, qualify your conversations with people and you will have better interactions and exchanges because you gave someone, and this is where that feminine masculine comes in. Most people just talk to folks and you just start going into it. And the other person's like, well, wait a minute. I didn't know that I signed up for this conversation. You started it before you even talked. You started it 2 days ago. You were at the conclusion and then you invite them in. And they're like, so first of all, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's just start there.
Hold on.
But qualify the conversation. You could even send in advance, like, hey, I would like to see you later. Kind of want to talk about these kind of things if you have the time for it. Now this person gets a chance to prepare themselves so they can be the best version of themselves in that moment too. That they don't get stuck in a doing and trying to defend themselves, and or if they know you need help and support, they can be there to listen for that. Because you're saying, I just need someone to listen. I don't want to fix a problem. I just want to vent. Cool. That's very different than I have a problem I like to solve. Can you help me?
Right. Absolutely.
Or I just want to kick the bobo and make up jokes and talk about anything not serious because everything's so heavy.
Yes.
Now you aren't, no one's getting offended. No one's not prepared. And everyone gets to be the best version of themselves, the greatest version of themselves in that moment of being and being present and connecting with another person.
Mm-hmm. So good. Wow. I love that. Qualifying the conversation. I'm definitely walking away with that. Whew. So this has been great. Like I said, I'm so glad we reconnected and it was right on time because we're starting the school year. And I know you have monthly workshops and activities and things that I'm going to ask you to share in a minute. But final words of encouragement. We always like to wrap up for that student listening. And you've done some great things as far as setting them up. But just to really take a leap and go head first into this year without hesitation, what kind of advice do you have?
I would invite them to get really comfortable with challenging their thoughts and beliefs about feminine and masculine energy, to get comfortable with the ideal that the way they show up and the amount of energy they have available to accomplish their school year doesn't need to look the same as someone else's. And this is why it's helpful for them to take the time for themselves to check out, what do I need so I can be and do in a way that allows me to have the experience I want. Plan your schedule as much as you can based on how much energy you have and what you can tolerate. If you have the option of only evening classes because you are not a morning person, schedule your classes in the evening and don't play yourself. Just don't. Schedule breaks. Make sure you have downtime and that you have transition time, and get comfortable with it's not going to look the same every day. Your energy is going to change and shift. And if you are having qualifying conversations with folks, you also know who to be around and not to be around so that you can maintain what you're looking for also.
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So now if they want to find you on IG or LinkedIn, where should you send them? Where do you want them to go?
On Instagram, they can find me at greaterself_Dr.Z. I believe on LinkedIn, it should be under my name, Dr. Zerri Gross, or going to my website, greaterself.org. If you /hello, it will take you to whatever is my most current thing happening, which I have a monthly free workshop and webinar, and it is intentionally, specifically set up to not only incorporate femininity, but to have a monthly reset. The stuff we were talking about today, how do you set that up and do so on purpose every month so you are recalibrating and having an experience of life that you like, that's led more by the integration of feminine and masculine energy to support the life you want.
Mm-hmm. Love it. This has been great. Thank you so much. I have a better understanding of all the energies around. I have a better understanding. Thank you so much. All right, ma'am. Well, you take care of yourself, and I'll be in touch with you real soon. And hope to see you again soon.
Absolutely. Whether it's free on the internet or free in real life, I'll be around.
That's right. You take care of yourself. Thank you.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us. So take time to balance your masculine and your feminine energies. You'll be glad you did. For more information about other episodes, remember to subscribe to the Back to Me podcast, College and Beyond. I'm your host, Yogi Tamu. Leave a review at the end of this podcast. And if you would like to learn more about other special events, join our community on our YouTube channel at the Back to Me podcast, or simply text Back to Me to 833-206-4565. Until next time, be well.